Welcome to Florida, the land of endless sunshine, theme parks, and let's not forget a few alligators. But there's so much more to the Sunshine State than you think. Today, we're uncovering 101 surprising, weird, and jaw-dropping facts about Florida. Let's get started, because Florida's story is just as wild as its weather. Fact number 1. Florida became the 27th state of the United States on March 3, 1845. That's right, nearly 2 centuries of Florida history and it's still going strong. 2. Fun fact, Florida is known as the Sunshine State, but did you know it actually gets more rain than Seattle? Bet you didn't see that one coming. 3. Florida has over 1,350 miles of coastline, making it the second longest in the US. That's a whole lot of beach days waiting for you. 4. It's also the flattest state in the US. Its highest point, Britton Hill, is just 345 feet above sea level, so don't expect any mountain climbing vacations here. 5. Florida's capital isn't Miami, Orlando, or Tampa, it's actually Tallahassee. That's right, the quieter northern city holds all the power. 6. Speaking of Miami, did you know that it's the only major US city founded by a woman? Julia Tuttle, a businesswoman, convinced railroad tycoon Henry Flagler to extend his line south. Miami might owe its fame to Julia, but it sure got its party reputation all on its own. 7. Let's talk weather. Florida is the lightning capital of the US. Seriously, it experiences more lightning strikes per square mile than anywhere else. More than 1.2 million lightning strikes here annually. 8. And don't forget hurricanes. In 2004, 4 hurricanes made landfall in Florida in just 6 weeks. And what happens there in October 2024? I think you already know. 9. Want to hear a strange law? It's illegal to sing in a public place while wearing a swimsuit. Looks like your beach karaoke plans just got canceled. 10th. Florida is also home to more golf courses than any other state, over 1,250, and you thought it was just for retirees. 11th. But don't get too comfortable on those courses. The state has about 1.25 million alligators, so you might see a gator lounging on the green while you're trying to get that hole-in-one. 12. Florida is also home to the largest subtropical wilderness in the US, the Everglades. This vast area is the only place in the world where alligators and crocodiles coexist in the wild. 13. Want to experience a river that doesn't quite feel like one? The Everglades is actually a slow-moving river, so you're technically floating, not boating. 14. Orlando attracts more visitors than any other amusement park destination in the US. More than 75 million people visit annually. That's more than the entire population of France. 15th. And Disney World? It's about the size of San Francisco. You could fit an entire city inside this magical kingdom. 16. While we're on the topic of strange animals, Florida is also home to the invasive Burmese python. These guys can grow up to 20 feet long. Imagine seeing that slither across the road. 17. Here's a curious fact. The oldest city in the US is in Florida. St. Augustine was founded in 1565 by Spanish explorers and has been continuously inhabited ever since. Haunted pirate tours, anyone? 18. Florida is also famous for its springs. There are over 700 freshwater springs here, the largest collection on the planet. Crystal clear and refreshing. They're perfect for a swim. 19. Speaking of water, Florida produces about 70% of the US's oranges. Yep, your morning glass of orange juice is probably straight out of the Sunshine State. 20. And if Florida were a country, it would be the world's 3rd largest producer of orange juice. Take that, Brazil. 21st. Florida's wildlife is just as unique as its landscape. Manatees, also known as sea cows, are found in Florida's warm waters. These gentle giants are often spotted in the state's rivers and springs. 22. On the flip side, Florida is also home to the Florida panther, an endangered species. Only around 120 to 230 are left in the wild, and most live in the swamps of southern Florida. 23. You might think flamingos are common here, but fun fact, flamingos aren't native to Florida. Most of the flamingos you see here are actually imports from other places. 24. Ever wondered why there are so many toll roads in Florida? The state has the most toll roads and bridges in the US. If you've driven here, you probably know exactly what I mean. 25. Florida's space history is out of this world. Literally. The Kennedy Space Center on the East Coast is where NASA launched its missions to the moon. It's still used today for space missions, and you can even tour it. 26. Oh, and in 1969, when Neil Armstrong took his giant leap for mankind, it all started right here in Florida, with the launch of Apollo 11. 27. Florida also has its own Bigfoot legend, the infamous skunk ape. Said to roam the Everglades, the skunk ape is basically Florida's answer to Sasquatch, only smellier. And yes, people claim to have seen it. 28th. Ever wonder why Florida's so sunny? It's not just the location. Florida experiences about 230 sunny days a year, especially down in Key West, where it almost never gets cold. 29. Speaking of Key West, did you know it's the southernmost point in the continental US? Just 90 miles from Cuba, Key West is as tropical as you can get without leaving the country. 30. But despite all that sunshine, Florida also has its dark side, literally. The state is home to over 7,700 lakes, and many of them are really deep, like 90 feet deep. You could lose a lot more than your sunglasses in there. 31. Florida is also one of the few states that doesn't require people to pay state income tax. No wonder so many people move here when they retire. 32. Speaking of retirees, Florida has one of the highest populations of senior citizens in the US. In fact, about 20% of the population is over 65. Makes sense with all that sunny weather and no snow. 33rd. But don't think it's just a place for the elderly. Florida is also home to several major universities, including the University of Florida and Florida State University. Go Gators! 34. You've probably heard of the Florida Keys, but did you know there are over 1,700 islands that make up the Keys? Most of them are uninhabited, though, so you could claim your own deserted island, if only for a day. 35. The Overseas Highway, which connects the Florida Keys to the mainland, is a 113-mile-long engineering marvel. It crosses 42 bridges, including the famous 7-Mile Bridge. Imagine driving with the ocean on both sides. It's like being in the middle of a postcard. 36. The Florida Keys are also home to a unique underwater park called John Pennekamp Coral Reef State Park. It's the only undersea park in the US, perfect for snorkeling and scuba diving. 37. Speaking of underwater, Florida is home to more shipwrecks than you can count. Over 1,000, in fact. Many of these sunken ships are now popular diving sites, where you can explore the remnants of history. 38. Back on dry land, Florida's Walt Disney World Resort is the most visited vacation resort in the world. It covers 25,000 acres. That's roughly the size of 2 Manhattan Islands. 39th. But Disney isn't the only game in town. Universal Studios in Orlando is home to the wizarding world of Harry Potter, which brings the magic of the books and movies to life. Want to try some butterbeer? 40. Florida is also home to the largest subtropical zoo in North America, Zoo Miami. It houses over 3,000 animals, including some that you won't find in any other US zoo. 41. Back to the coast. Ever heard of Amelia Island? It's known as the Isle of 8 Flags because it has been under the control of 8 different nations since 1562. Talk about a rich history. 42. If you're into treasure hunting, Florida might be your dream destination. The state's treasure coast gets its name from the Spanish galleons that sank off the coast in the 1700s, spilling their gold and silver into the sea. Some people are still finding treasure today. 43rd. Florida's weather can change at the drop of a hat. On one side of the state, it could be sunny, while on the other side, there's a full-on thunderstorm. Always pack an umbrella. 44. But if you're a fan of snow, Florida probably isn't for you. The last time it snowed in Miami was in 1977, and let's just say it wasn't exactly a winter wonderland. Flurries melted as soon as they hit the ground. 45. Here's a quirky one. There's a small town in Florida called Christmas. And yes, the town celebrates Christmas year-round. You can even send your holiday cards from there to get a Christmas postmark. 46. Florida's love for the holidays doesn't stop there. The state holds the record for the most illuminated Christmas tree, at over 600 feet tall. I guess everything is bigger in Florida. Even the holiday cheer. 47. The state flower of Florida is the orange blossom. Not only is it beautiful, but it also smells amazing, especially in spring when the trees are in bloom. 48th. Florida is the top travel destination for Americans, with over 100 million people visiting each year. Most of them come for the beaches and theme parks, but a growing number are visiting for ecotourism, like kayaking through mangroves or exploring natural springs. 49. One of Florida's biggest events is the Daytona 500, one of the most prestigious NASCAR races in the world. It's held every February at Daytona International Speedway. If you love fast cars, this is the place to be. 50. Florida has its own version of the Stonehenge, sort of. Coral Castle, near Miami, was built by one man, Ed Leedskalnin, out of huge blocks of coral. No one's quite sure how he did it, but it's definitely a feat of engineering. 51. Another mysterious place? The Devil's Den, an underground spring in central Florida. It looks like something straight out of a fantasy novel, with crystal clear water and ancient fossils in the cave walls. 52nd. Florida is home to some truly bizarre roadside attractions like Weeki Wachee Springs, where you can watch live mermaid shows. Yes, you heard that right. Real-life mermaids swimming underwater. 53rd. St. Petersburg, Florida, holds the Guinness World Record for the most consecutive days of sunshine, 768 days in a row. That's over 2 years of endless sun. 54. Florida has more registered boats than any other state, over 900,000. With all that water, it's no wonder boating is a popular pastime here. 55. Speaking of water sports, Florida is also known as the fishing capital of the world, with both saltwater and freshwater fishing opportunities all around the state. 56. The Everglades isn't just for alligators. It's home to over 350 species of birds, making it a birdwatcher's paradise. If you're lucky, you might even spot a rare roseate spoonbill. 57. Here's a fun one. Florida is home to the world's largest occupied wooden structure, the historic Key West Seaport. It's been in continuous use since the 1800s, and today it's a hub for dining, shopping, and water activities. 58. Have you ever heard of Florida's Forgotten Coast? It's a stretch of the Panhandle that remains largely undeveloped, with pristine beaches and old Florida charm. 59. Florida's rich soil and warm climate make it perfect for farming. In addition to oranges, the state grows sugarcane, tomatoes, strawberries, and watermelons. 60. Naples, Florida, has more millionaires per capita than any other city in the U.S. With its luxurious beaches and exclusive golf courses, it's no wonder the rich and famous love it here. 61. Ever tried a key lime pie? This famous dessert comes from Florida, specifically the Florida Keys, where key limes grow. The sweet and tangy pie is a must-try when visiting the state. 62. Florida is home to the world's only underwater post office. Located in the Florida Keys, it gives a whole new meaning to snail mail. 63. The Sunshine State is also known for its sinkholes. These natural phenomena occur when underground limestone dissolves, creating cavities that can suddenly collapse. It's like nature's way of playing peekaboo. 64. It's also the only state where you can see the sunrise on the Atlantic Ocean and watch it set over the Gulf of Mexico on the same day. 65. Speaking of sunsets, Clearwater Beach on Florida's Gulf Coast is famous for its breathtaking sunsets. Every evening, there's a festival at Pier 60 to celebrate the sunset, complete with street performers and vendors. 66. Florida is one of the few states where you can legally own an exotic pet like a monkey or a big cat. Just be sure to get the right permits first. 67. The state has a rich Native American history. The Seminole tribe is one of the original tribes of Florida and still has a significant presence in the state today. 68. Here's a strange fact. Lake Okeechobee, the largest lake in Florida, is so big that it's often referred to as an inland sea. It's roughly the size of Rhode Island. 69. The oldest schoolhouse in the U.S. is located in St. Augustine, Florida. It's been standing since the early 18th century. Now that's what I call a lasting education. 70. The Florida State Fair, held every February in Tampa, is one of the largest fairs in the country. From fried everything to giant Ferris wheels, it's a must-see for thrill-seekers and food lovers alike. 71. Miami's Art Deco district is home to the largest collection of Art Deco architecture in the world. Those pastel-colored, geometric buildings you see in movies? That's pure Miami magic. 72. In the mid-20th century, Florida was briefly considered for a nuclear missile base due to its strategic location during the Cold War, though the idea never materialized. 73rd. Tarpon Springs, on Florida's Gulf Coast, is famous for its sponge diving industry. Greek immigrants brought the tradition to the area, and today you can visit the sponge docks and even take a boat tour to watch divers in action. 74. The small town of Casadaga is known as the psychic capital of the world. Founded in 1894, it's home to a large community of mediums and spiritualists. Want to get your fortune told? 75. Florida's state animal might be the panther, but did you know the state bird is the northern mockingbird? This little bird is known for its ability to mimic the songs of other birds and even man-made sounds like car alarms. 76. If you've ever driven across Alligator Alley, the stretch of I-75 that cuts through the Everglades, you'll know why it got its name. Alligators are often seen sunbathing along the sides of the road. 77. The Ringling Museum of Art in Sarasota is home to one of the largest collections of Baroque art in the U.S. It's also the former estate of circus magnate John Ringling. Yes, as in the Ringling Brothers Circus. 78. Fort Lauderdale is known as the Venice of America, thanks to its extensive canal system. With over 300 miles of waterways, it's a paradise for boating enthusiasts. 79. Florida is home to the largest population of wild flamingos in the U.S., although they aren't native to the state. They're mostly found in the Everglades, where they add a splash of pink to the marshy landscape. 80. In addition to flamingos, you'll also find iguanas roaming freely in parts of southern Florida. These bright green reptiles are considered an invasive species, but you'll still see them sunbathing on sidewalks and in parks. 81. One of Florida's most unique attractions is Bok Tower Gardens, located in central Florida. The site features a stunning 205-foot-tall tower surrounded by lush gardens and tranquil walking paths. 82. Florida has one of the longest boating seasons in the U.S., thanks to its warm climate. Whether you're into fishing, sailing, or just cruising around, you can hit the water almost any time of year. 83. The Sunshine Skyway Bridge near Tampa is one of the most scenic bridges in the U.S. It's nearly 5.5 miles long and offers stunning views of the Gulf of Mexico. 84. Love race cars? Florida is home to Sebring International Raceway, one of the oldest continuously operating racetracks in the U.S. It's famous for its 12 hours of Sebring endurance race. 85. Florida is the only state in the continental U.S. where you can find wild monkeys. A colony of rhesus macaques lives in Silver Spring State Park. Who needs a zoo when you've got Florida? 86. Want to stand in 2 time zones at once? Florida's panhandle stretches into the central time zone, so if you're driving west, you'll literally gain an hour. Time travel, anyone? 87. The oldest continuously running theme park in Florida isn't Disney or Universal. It's actually Cypress Gardens, which opened in 1936. While it closed in 2009, it's now part of Legoland, Florida. 88. Florida's beaches are world famous, but did you know some of them glow at night? Bioluminescent plankton makes certain parts of the ocean light up with an eerie blue glow. It's like something out of a science fiction movie. 89. The St. Johns River is one of the few rivers in the world that flows north. It runs through central and northern Florida and eventually empties into the Atlantic Ocean. 90. Florida is home to the largest sand dunes in the southeastern U.S. at the Ocala National Forest. These dunes were created over thousands of years by wind and water erosion. 91. Gatorade was invented in Florida in 1965 by a team of researchers at the University of Florida. They created the drink to help the school's football team stay hydrated during games. Hence the name Gatorade. 92. Key West is the birthplace of the famous author Ernest Hemingway. You can visit his home where dozens of six-toed cats, descendants of his original pet, still roam the property. 93. Florida's diverse culinary scene includes a dish known as the Cuban sandwich. Originating in Tampa, this delicious mix of ham, roasted pork, Swiss cheese, pickles, and mustard on Cuban bread is a must-try. 94. The Miami Marlins baseball team has a one-of-a-kind stadium with a retractable roof. Why? Florida's unpredictable weather. Rain or shine, they're ready to play ball. 95. Florida is the largest producer of tomatoes in the U.S. in the winter months. Bet you didn't think of Florida as a top tomato state? 96. Central Florida is home to the Citrus Tower, a 226-foot-tall observation deck built in 1956. It offers sweeping views of the area's orange groves and rolling hills. 97. Want to stay overnight in a treehouse? In Florida's Live Oak area, you can rent a treehouse cabin and sleep among the trees in style. 98. The Fort Jefferson in the Dry Tortugas, off the coast of Key West, is one of the largest brick structures in the Americas, consisting of over 16 million bricks. 99. Did you know there's a highway in Florida dedicated to chickens? In Key West, the feral chickens have free reign of the streets, and they're considered part of the island's charm. 100. The Dinosaur World Park near Tampa features over 200 life-size dinosaur sculptures, offering a prehistoric adventure for families. 101. And now, for the grand finale, in Florida, it is illegal to ride a skateboard without a driver's license. So go on foot. Which fact blew your mind? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more amazing content. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.